All right, hi guys. I'm going to make a quick video on some notes that we took in class today, just in case you want to watch them again or if you weren't here. This is about solving an equation with variables on both sides. So you can see here we've got an x here and we've got an x here, and just like usual, that x wants to be by himself. So what you want to do first in problems like this is the same thing we're used to. Let's draw a line through the equal sign, because just like usual, that equal sign means that these two sides need to be equal, and we can't do anything just to one side. We have to do everything, every operation we do to both sides of that equal sign. So draw that line there so you make sure you do everything to both sides of that line. So the first step when you see an x on both sides of the equation is that you want to group all your x's together, or y, or whatever variable you're using. So what's nice here is that since these are 8x and 6x, those are like terms, so we can combine them. Even though they're on different sides, what we can do is, let's say I'm going to try and move the 8x over to this side. So I combine it with that 6x. So this is 8x plus 16. They're separated by addition, so I'm going to move it by subtracting 8x. I can subtract 8x there as long as I subtract 8x right here as well. So we're going to draw a line to write what we're left with on each side. 8x minus 8x is 0. You don't have to write 0 because 0 plus 16 is just 16. Keep your equal sign. Now over here I can combine 6x minus 8x's is negative 2x. Now this is just like a one-step equation, just like you're used to. I've got an x here, he wants to be all alone, he's being multiplied to that 2. So to undo being multiplied, negative 2, to undo being multiplied by that negative 2, I can just divide by negative 2 as long as I do it to both sides of my equation. Negative 2 over negative 2 is 1. You can write the 1, or you can just write x, 1x, or just x, and 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8. So our solution is x equals negative 8. And just like in the past, you can plug negative 8 into this equation. 8 times negative 8 plus 16, and you should get whatever 6 times negative 8 is. I just plug that x back in and it should work out. All right, we're going to move on to a little bit more of difficult problem here. Now we're going to solve an equation using the distributive property. This is actually a problem from your investigation and very similar to your homework problems tonight. So the instructions for this are to solve for when x is 0, or sorry, when y is 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a 0 for y. I'm going to substitute a 0 for y, which means take out your y and write a 0. I'm going to write the rest of my equation exactly as I see it. I know it's a lot of writing, but I think it helps you to keep it organized. So now what you're going to do is you have a few options right here. You could get rid of this 5 first by subtracting it. You could go ahead and distribute this 2 first. I think I'm going to go ahead and subtract my 5 first, just so that all I have left on this side of the equal sign is distributing. Whoops, I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign too. So that minus 5 I'm going to do to both sides here. I'm going to write what I'm left with. 5 minus 5 is 0, so that part cancels out or is kind of undone. Over here, 0 minus 5 is negative 5, so I'm left with negative 5 equals 2 parentheses 3 plus 4x, which means 2 times the quantity of 3 plus 4x. Now again, you have two options. This is 2 times this quantity. You could divide by 2 to get that 2 gone, because remember, we're trying to get this x by itself. Or you could distribute this 2. I'm thinking if I divide by 2 right here, this is going to leave me a fraction, negative 2.5. So I am not going to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and distribute this 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4x is 8x. So I write plus 8x. So this side of the equal sign is simplified. I'm just going to leave this side negative 5 for now. Keep writing it. Keep writing negative 5. Even though it's not changing, you want to keep bringing it down so you can keep working with it. Now, this is just a normal two-step equation. Here's my x. He wants to be all alone. We've got to move the 6 and the 8. We have to undo adding and subtracting first, right? So I'm going to subtract that 6 first. I have to undo that first. Draw my line, write what I'm left with on each side. So over here, I'm left with 8x. Over here, negative 5 minus 6 is negative 11. I'm almost done. This x is just being multiplied by 8, so I need to divide by 8 to get x by itself. So we're left with x equals negative 11 over 8, and I am completely fine with you leaving that improper fraction. x equals negative 11 over 8. I can't simplify negative 11 over 8, so I'm just going to keep that as it is. All right, one more problem that we're going to do today. This is solving another equation using distributive property, and we also have a variable on both sides. So we're going to have to take into account everything we've taken notes on so far. I'm actually going to move this over so I can reach it here. There's my x, and there's my x. All right, so I'm going to start off as usual, draw a line through my equal sign here. You've got choices on what to do first. I think personally right now, since I can't really move all my x's to be together yet because this x is kind of trapped inside those parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 8 here so that I can actually combine that x and get all my x's on one side. So I'm going to leave this 6 that's out in front right here, just as it is, and I'm going to go ahead and combine this, distribute this 8. So 8 times x is 8x right there. And 8 times 2 is 16, so plus 16, and then just keep this side the same for now. Now you could go ahead and combine your x's. You could move all your x's to be on one side. I personally would like to make it a little more simplified. I know I can combine these two constants on this side, 6 and 16. Now, I can only do that because they're on the same side of the equal sign. I can combine those together. 6 plus 16 is 22, so I really have 22 plus 8x, that just came from right here, just moved it over, equals 6x. Now this is kind of like that first problem we did together. Now I've got x's, they're on different sides of the equal sign though, here and here. I want to get them all on the same side of the equal sign. It's up to you how you want to do it. If you decide to move this 6x, just know that you'll be left with 0 over here. You could also move this 8x by subtracting it, and you'll move it over to this side. You can do either one. Since last time I moved the 8x to be with the 6x, I'm going to subtract the 6x and show you what happens if you're left with 0. So I'm going to subtract 6x here and on the other side. That way I can get all my variables into one term. I can combine those. Over here, 6x minus 6x is 0. Now, usually we don't write that because there's something else on this side to write. Now that that's the only thing there, I'm just going to go ahead and write 0. On this side, I can combine 8x minus 6x is 2x, and I still have that 22 out in front, and it's plus 2x because 2x is positive. Now, this is just solving like a usual equation. I just happen to have a 0 on one side. Here's my x. He wants to be all alone. I have to undo adding and subtracting first. So I'm going to undo that 22 first. I'm going to subtract 22 from each side of my equal sign. 22 minus 22 is 0. I don't need to write it because 0 plus 2x is just 2x. Let me extend my line here. And that equals 0 minus 22 is negative 22. Now, finally, I've just got 2 times x is negative 22. So to undo that 2, I need to divide by 2, because the opposite of, or the equation that undoes, or the operation that undoes multiplication is division. So I'm left with x here. Negative 22 divided by 2 is negative 11. And just like usual, you can plug that back in to see if it works. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Let me know if you have questions later on. We can do some more practice in class. But see you later.